Hello everyone. So we have this problem in our grinding system. We can only enter this rail from that direction only. We at the moment we haven't implemented a way to detect what is the direction this character is trying to enter that rail. So that's why it always start grinding from this direction. Also, if I move faster, you will see character kind of moves backward, jump into a backward position and then start grinding. See, so we need to fix those two problems. So after fixing those problems, the system will work like this. I can enter this rail from this direction or from the other direction, any direction I want. See, and also it doesn't snap backwards if I go faster. See, it always jumps into a forward direction. Alright, so let's see how to fix those issues. And this episode is sponsored by these generous patrons. Thank you very much for your support. Alright, let's first open this rail blueprint, and so I have implement also let's open our character. Okay, so here in this jump and flip section, here we do this when I jump using a line trace, a sphere trace. I detect check if there is a grindable object in front of the character. If yes, I get the location that the character should jump onto in order to start grinding. So here I have already implemented the direction. I have already have a parameter for the direction of the grinding movement, but actually I just have put 1 here because at the time I did not want to worry about the direction. I only wanted to get the grinding working. So right, so in order to determine the direction, we need to know the two extra things we require here: the character's current location and also character speed. So let me explain this. Let's say this is the rail, okay, and this is where the character is at the moment currently, and character is moving this way. So when I do the line trace, this would be the hit location, and this would be the closest point to that hit location on the spline, on the rail. So what I'm trying to do is I'm gonna get the world location along the spline, on the spline, like some direction in the positive way and some direction before this point. Right now, the distance between this point, let's say the back point, and the forward point, the distance between the character and the back point is less than the distance between the character and this forward point. That means the character is trying to grind along this way, let's just say the positive direction. If the character is more closer to this point than this point, that means character is trying to move in this way. So using that logic, let's determine this direction. So for that, I said we need some extra parameters, so I'll set add another vector character location, and also another float parameter character speed. So actually this speed is required to prevent character snapping backwards when I move faster and try to start grinding. Okay, now we can set this Lewis in get character location, and we can set the character speed, get velocity. This is a vector, we need a float, so vector length. Cool. Now we have the required parameters. Now let's go here. So now we know the spline distance, the closest position, closest spline distance for the hit location. So I'll add, let's say, plus 10 to this, and also I'll add, let's say, minus 10. So this is the plus point and the minus point, this one and this one I explained here. So yeah, before getting the location on the spline with these distances, we need to make sure that this plus 10 and minus 10 lengths are valid lengths for the spline component. That means they should not be either minus, or this should not be larger than the total length of the spline. So let's clamp these two values. Minimum is 0 and maximum is the length of the spline. Right, now we can get the world location on this distance of this spline. Get location at distance along spline. So there has to be world location because I am getting the character location in world space, so I need to compare it, therefore it has to be in world location. Right, distance is this one and this one. Okay, now we need to calculate the distance between this point and the character and this point and the character. So this as I explained in the diagram. Right, now if this one, the plus point, is larger than the negative point, minus point, that means direction is positive. That means plus 1, otherwise it should be minus 1. Alright, now let's see if we can enter this in both directions. Okay, it works for this direction. Let's try the other way. Right, no. Right, it works, but we have a problem. The character turns into the opposite direction. That's because we haven't considered the direction when we start grinding. We rotate and set the character rotation to match with the direction of the spline that we are grinding on. So here, if the direction is -1, we need to add 180 degrees to this rotation, because if we are going backward in the spline, then it's not the rotation of that spline point we need to have for the character. It's that it's the opposite direction. So let's add we need to add 180 degrees only if the direction is negative. Grind direction. If this is positive, if it is positive, we don't have to add anything, otherwise 180 degrees. Right, now we have to do the same thing in here as well, because we manually move the character along the spline here. Okay, now the character should be facing the correct way. Yeah. Okay, now let's see how to fix this when I go faster, a snapping back issue. See, let's see how to fix that now. So for that, as I said, we need the speed. So let's multiply this with some value to compensate for the direction for the moment the character will have by the time he is going to reach the spline. So I'm not exactly sure what this value should be. For now, let's try 0.5, and also this should be multiplied with the direction. And need to add to the closest spline distance. Also need to clamp between 0 and the spline length. Otherwise we can have a value that doesn't lay inside the spline length. Right, now let's try. Okay, now it doesn't snap backward. Okay, so yeah, we can stop this episode right here. So in future I want to implement stuff like if I directly go here and hit some object, the character should fall down from the skateboard. So yeah, let's see how to do such stuff in future. And thanks for watching. As always, project files will be available for the download through Patreon page. Link would be in the description below. And see you in another episode. Goodbye.